to Fantasy AI. All right, back in the computer room. Today we're going to look at running uphill. We're looking at the running backs with the hardest rushing schedule for 2024. Which one got a bad draw? All right, before we get started on the running uphill, let's do a little housekeeping here. Got some new subscribers. Put them on the back wall. Welcome into Trig Tech, Zero Machine, Terry Hesticles, Ooga Booga, Frostfire Brothers, Bruce Hammer, and Ant-Man High. Make the board. You have to have public turned on from the show, probably. I don't know. I get some of them. Don't get them all. The little says who. So those who still have it on anonymous, you're anonymous. And let's get started with Tampa Bay here. Viewer said, hey, keep your eye out for Bucky Irving. Certainly going to be the number 2 in Tampa. So that's what makes preseason great. We get to watch all these rookies in preseason, how they fit in, new coaches, how they're doing, what are they calling. When it gets a little boring, you guys turn off in that second half. I watch all the preseason games, figure it all in my rankings. So let me do the heavy lifting. And so moving on. We're going to look at, this is how we get the defense. This is the rushing defensive stats. This is, if you saw yesterday's show on downhill runners, this was used. They're still using it. I do use more data than this in my final rankings when I do it. I like how many touchdowns the defense gives up, but this is more for just simple examples to show you how it works. Took the schedule, took the rushing defense, and we figured out who is going to be running uphill next year. The toughest rushing defense. So I'm sure it's against movie to give the climax at the very beginning, but I just want to do it. So can you recognize that gold? Here is the top 10 defenses for previous last year's rushing defenses. So this is last year's statistics, but that's what we have right now. We have nothing else to base it on. So who liked when Josh Jacobs signed up in Green Bay? Thought, oh yeah, that's going to look good up there. Team him up with Jordan Love. Got some stuff going on offense finally there in Green Bay. Josh Jacobs, he led the league 2 years ago, right? In fantasy anyway. Woo, looking good there. And Packer strong all year long, right? Thinking, yeah, he's set up good for this year. Let's tap the brakes there a little bit. Here's what the Green Bay schedule looks like. Worst I've seen in years for the rushing schedule. Now, it's got 2 games with the Bears, 2 games with Detroit, the top 2 rush defenses. They're in their division, obviously. That's why they play them twice. And throw in San Francisco, the 3rd best rushing defense. How about? And then then you got Minnesota on there with 2 at 8. And then throw in some games with the 6th, 7th, 9th, and 10th rushing defenses. You see that? All in all, Green Bay has 11 of the 17 games against top 10 rushing defense. Right? You're a fool if you don't factor those in. I mean, I was liking Josh Jacobs before I saw all this, right? You're thinking, hey, you go through the schedule and then, he's got the toughest rushing schedule I've seen in years, right? So who are some of the others? Let's get started with the others in the running uphill. So coming in at number 12, we've got Minnesota. Aaron Jones is the new signee up there. They've got the 12th hardest rushing schedule. All right. Got Cam Akers there, the backup. Ty Chandler showed some stuff. They currently have Aaron Jones only ranked at 29th. So not too many people were high on him. And the 12th, that's not as bad as that Green Bay, his previous team. But still, you factor all these in and see how they come out at the end. So moving on. Seattle has the 11th hardest rushing schedule. Got Kenneth Walker. Where did he finish last year? He finished 17th. So where are they having next year? 13th. Ooh, they're moving up on him a little bit. Got a little bit of tough schedule. They're going to have some quarterback little changes there. Got Charbonnet as their competition for him. down here at 11th, I'm not going to totally, but you still got to factor in what their schedule looks like. So moving on, how about the Bears with DeAndre Swift? Now I didn't know which one to put on there. Was it Herbert we're going to put in there as the number one? I just went ahead and put Swift because, hey, he actually showed up last year and got 23rd, right? They do have him ranked 22nd for next year. So with that competition and this tough schedule, that might be a little high for me, because, hey, Roschon was supposed to get something done last year. And Herbert, well, if he's still around, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. They're going to have a good offense, but maybe some passing. Maybe the quarterback takes a couple rushing touchdowns in. Williams. All right, moving on. Next at the 9th hardest rushing schedule for next year, James Conner. James Conner, he finished 15th last year, right? Missed a couple games too. I mean, yeah, has some new competition here. Got a rookie coming in, Benson. So it's not just going to be him there. 9th hardest rushing schedule. 15th rank. I got him ranked 25th. I don't know. With that missed games and stuff, I still might. You take this into consideration, but hey, if you're getting him cheap, James Conner too cheap, you can still take him, especially at 9th hardest schedule. Moving on, David Montgomery, Detroit. Now, Detroit has the 8th hardest schedule here, rushing. And some might be saying, well, why didn't you put Jahmyr Gibbs in? Gibbs is, ranked higher for next year, 5th, I've seen it. Well, I still argue he's kind of the receiving back. So the toughest rushing defense might hurt Montgomery a little bit more than Gibbs. Right? I mean, Gibbs is still going to run. Don't get me wrong. And I saw some articles out here just the other day that, they're going to push him more and doing him more. Hey, we've seen it before. Jamal Williams back 2 years ago wasn't anything special. He had 17 touchdowns. They still have the division of labor, a touchdown back, and the receiving back. So who are we going to dink a little bit for this bad schedule? We're going to take David Montgomery down a little bit, who does some power rushing, running out the games, and that's where his position comes in, of course. So anyway, number 8 is Detroit. Moving on. How about the Jets, right? See there, they got the 7th hardest schedule. Here's where there's some actual use you can get out of this here. They've got him, Breece Hall. He finished 7th last year. Now that's pretty good, right? But they've got him ranked 2nd for next year. This is consensus. I get it off a website. Hey, we're looking at, he's got the 7th hardest schedule next year, right? I brought in this Allen. Is going to be the backup, I suppose. But I certainly wouldn't pay rank 2 capital on him when you can get, we saw yesterday or the day before from Atlanta, Robinson, he's got the 5th easiest schedule. Why wouldn't you take him over him? Stick around for my rankings before the season starts. We'll get you set with what I think. And statistics show. Hey, just based on what I do. I run computer models on this. All right, moving on. Tennessee, Tony Pollard. Wasn't too high on him before for this year, and certainly not with a 6th hardest rushing schedule. All right, he did finish 18th last year. Just kept running him. Wasn't getting too early. He did finish 19th they have him ranked 19th for next year. So they have him ranked same to Tennessee. That's too high. No. Tajay Spears showed some stuff last year. I don't like Tony Pollard, especially with the 6th hardest rushing schedule. Pass. James Cook, right? He did wonders last year. Came on kind of unexpected. Finished 11th. You can see they got the 5th hardest rushing schedule next year. Now, you'll notice over here he had 2 rushing touchdowns, James Cook. Had 4 receiving, but we know he's not going to get any goal line carries, right? Very few. Quarterback takes him in. Josh Allen takes him in. Had 15 touchdowns last year. He had 2. That's what happens. We're a little worried about Barkley on that with Hurts, taking all the touchdowns in. But anyway, Moving on, we got some new. Got Ray Davis here is backing up. I put Ty Johnson in first, though. But hey, they've got him ranked 11th, right, with a 5th rushing schedule, and he did finish 11th. I think that's a little high. I mean, I had him last year, loved it, but hey, you know what? No, that might be a little high, especially when we see this rushing schedule. We factor it all in at the end. All right, next up. Oh, I was kind of high on Joe Mixon. Boy, finished 6th last year. Finished 6th. 4th hardest schedule, though. Possible little regression there in Houston. People are really hyping up Houston. I kind of liked them, too. Got Pierce here as the backup, I guess. Got Jordan. Is that a rookie come in? So I got him currently ranked 15th. So you might think, hey, that's a little low off of the last sixth place finish last year. But, I saw something, Pierce is going to come back this next year. Well, anyway, got Joe Mixon ranked 15th, 4th hardest schedule. That might be about right. I would have had him a little higher until I saw this schedule like this. Whew, 4th hardest. Not as bad as Green Bay's. But anyway, Jonathan Taylor comes in Indy. 3rd hardest schedule, right? I don't know about that one either. He came in, he finished 30th last year, obviously. Missed some games early. Came in. Zach Moss was leading the show early, but Jonathan Taylor finally got in. Has good average, 13.74. They got him ranked 4th. So now we start looking at some of these and, maybe that's a little high. We'll see. Competition, Hull, Trey Sermon, I don't know. Here they got him at ranked 4th, so we take this into consideration when we do our rankings. And he has the 3rd hardest rushing schedule next year. Woo. ETN, Travis, right? Coming in, had a pretty good year last year, finished 4th, right? They have him 8th next year. And looking at the 2nd hardest schedule here, I'll agree. We'll have to see how we add them all up, see where they all finally end up. Got Tank Bigsby, Dishonest Johnson down here, the artist. And he comes in ranked 8th with that 2nd hardest schedule. Don't rank him any higher than 8th. No. That's going to be a hard schedule. And of course, Josh Jacobs here. I already led with it. Here it is. I was high on him. Ooh. He sat. Last year he didn't do much. They're changing things up there in Las Vegas. But here they bring in Marshawn Lloyd to compete. Dylan Dunn. I've had enough of that. Marshawn Lloyd will be the backup. But hey, you're looking at the team with the worst rushing schedule. Oh, just terrible. The worst I've seen in years. So we want to temper our, thinking on Green Bay and Josh Jacobs. All right, you liking what you're seeing? Please hit that subscribe, hit that thumbs up button. Thumbs up. All right, this is where I like to fill my shorts. I'm going to fill my shorts. This is a rapid repeat. All right, be wary of these running backs running uphill next year. Minnesota has the 12th hardest schedule. Kenneth Walker in Seattle has the 11th hardest schedule. Swift, Bears, 10th hardest rushing schedule next year. James Conner has the 9th hardest rushing schedule in Arizona. Montgomery, Detroit, 8th hardest rushing schedule next year. Breeze Hall, 7th hardest rushing schedule. See how he does. Tony Pollard didn't like him before, don't like him with a 6th hardest rushing schedule in Tennessee. James Cook, 5th hardest rushing schedule. Allen takes all the touchdowns in. I don't know about him next year. Joe Mixon was high till I saw the schedule on him. I don't know. We'll see how he goes next year. Jonathan Taylor with the 3rd hardest schedule. All these good running backs with hard schedules. ETN has the 2nd hardest schedule. And Josh Jacobs, Green Bay, oh my gosh, hardest I've seen in years.